Hi, everyone. Welcome. So, I think one of the questions that has been coming up lately has been why psychospiritual work? What's the point of doing psychospiritual work? And when there is um, incredible spiritual teachings out there, incredible spiritual practices out there. And why? Why would anybody want to do psychospiritual work? And even, there's people who are like, well, I'm doing my spiritual work and I'm also doing my psychological work. And um, so they might, be doing psychological work that's separate from their spiritual work. So the kind of like feeling like, oh, I'm doing the whole gamut. So I'll just share from my perspective about psychospiritual work, sharing a little bit of my own experience in a way so that um, in order to kind of share something that I hope will be helpful to you. All right, so a little bit about me is that I actually started with um, psychological work in a way, but I started with going to graduate school to become a psychotherapist, and I went to a transpersonal um, a transpersonal program. So it already had elements of spirituality that were included in the program, and so I did already have that kind of a bent. And pretty soon after I started the program, I also really dove deep into seeking spiritually. And something in me just felt like, yeah, psychology isn't going to have the answer for me. I dove into spirituality. I actually went to a number of retreats. I've been on retreat with Thich Nhat Hanh. I've been on retreat with Mata Amritanandamayi Amma many, many times. And I've also delved into a lot of other paths and practices, especially early on in my journey of seeking. And it was in 2009 that I started actually studying different work. It was Diamond Logo's teachings, that is the integration of both traditional and New Age spirituality, psychology, and the body. And I'll say from my experience, I feel like there's so much beauty when we go to spiritual practice, especially in the beginning. I felt like I was so open that I received so much grace, so much I don't know if a better word. The word that's coming up is transmission. So I received so many transmissions from teachers and gurus, and it wasn't just a practice. It was like, oh wow, there's things opening up for me. And I feel like there was such a beauty in that time because there was an innocence to me as I embarked on the spiritual journey. There was a beautiful innocence, and that innocence really blossomed as I went into spirituality. And I'm really, really grateful for that. As my spiritual journey continued, one of the things that happened also is that my ego has its way of looking at spirituality and its ideas, and it's not just my ego but the wounded parts of me have their own ideas about how spirituality needs to go, really. And on some level, now this might be hard to hear because I think this is pretty universal. So please understand that I'm sharing because this is universal. This is not um, singular to my experience, really. So on some level, what my ego did was that it wrapped itself around any of the spiritual practices, any of the spiritual concepts that I had been engaging with. And what I didn't realize is that a couple things. All the beautiful openings that I had in my journey, when they opened up, my wounds opened up, but I didn't know how to navigate them. I too, actually, through my journey for a while, I was engaging both in spiritual practices and I was having my psychotherapy. And there was kind of a chasm between them. They weren't working together. They weren't working together to integrate me, to integrate what was opening up for me. So what happened was a lot of times I would have these openings, but I would also have the wounds that came up. I would have my ego wrapping around the spirituality, saying subtly, even though I didn't have an ego that's like some people's egos, you really like, they come up with a lot of power. I didn't have that type of an ego. I had a more subtle appearing ego. I'm not saying that my ego was better than other people's. It was just the quality of it was more appearing in a subtle way, but it wasn't subtle at the same time. And so instead of them coming together, what I found was that they actually became like this. My experience, instead of this, became like this. They became a chasm between what I was experiencing spiritually, all the amazing highs, all the amazing qualities, the sense of love, the sense of expansion, the sense of beauty, the sense of spaciousness, all the peace, the stillness. There was so much opening up here. And here was a different story. This was not being integrated. This was not coming together and being like, okay, I'm going to have all of this integrated so I can live these experiences that I'm having in my day-to-day life in a healthy way. It was leaving out the parts of me, big chunks of me, that became like this, really. And that is, imagine you have a fabric. The fabric is torn. So instead of being like this, it was like this. And I'm grateful to have found teachings that I didn't go like this. You know, if so far apart, they're not even on the screen, that would have really resulted in damage. So the psychospiritual work, why do we want to do psychospiritual work that integrates the body, is because we want to bring ourselves together. When we're going through spiritual openings, it's gonna bring up everything. It's gonna bring up our hurts, our wounds, our ego patterns, our our everything that we have lived through in our lifetime, it is going to come up, even if we are completely unconscious of it, even if we have no idea about what we experienced pre-verbally before we were like 2 or 3 years old, or in the womb, or those what our families experienced, whether or not we have any memory or knowledge of it. Even all of that is stored in our bodies. All of it is stored in our psyches, really, in in us. And so when we do spiritual practices, that stuff is going to come up. It's going to come up. How do we navigate these things that come up? How do we navigate them when we don't have a map even? So I think in my last video that I made, I talked about I embarked on a soul journey, but I forgot about my soul. And it's not like, oh yeah, I remember my soul and it's here and it's back. She's back. That's not how it went. It was like, okay, here I am. I am still in the place where I don't have access to my soul. And this is my experience. So part of psychospiritual work is also the map. This is what I experienced. This is what is getting revved up, not this. And so part of the psychospiritual journey is it's helpful for us to have a map, so that when we're going through these territories inside, when we are going through the openings that our practices bring about, that we can bring the fabric back together. We want to tighten it, in a really nice way, so that we're flowing. Really, we want the flow in all parts of us, our egos, our souls, our psyches, our beings, all of everything to be working together. The other thing is, sometimes when we're on a spiritual journey, we're working on this quality. This is the quality that I'm working on, and it's beautiful. Sometimes this is the quality that we need, and it takes us where we want to or need to go. Sometimes it's this quality and this quality. So sometimes it's my fingers. Sometimes it is, I need the quality of compassion, but I also need the quality of peace. And I also need the quality of strength and courage, so that I'm not just getting, I'm having a multifaceted approach to navigate what is arising, because we need all parts of ourselves, really, to support us on this journey. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope it's kind of giving you a map about why psychospiritual. Why not just spiritual? Why not just psychological? Why not spiritual and psychological separately? Is because they're not necessarily communicating with each other, and we are complete in ourselves. We are our psyches, we are our egos, we are our souls, we are our beings, and to bring everything together so that it flows, so that one part isn't going, hey, you left me behind, guess what, I'm gonna resist like crazy, or I'm gonna go so far out here that it actually becomes dangerous. All right, I would love to hear how this video was for you. Please let me know.